Hello and welcome to Carl's Daily Vlog, Tuesday, July 7th. Wow. One of the things that I am interested in is the power of sleep. So this is just a personal thing that I find very interesting, the whole subject of sleep, restoration, restorative sleep. Also the fact that a lot of people have trouble sleeping, which is too bad. I'm generally not one of them. So I'm not really sure why some people have trouble sleeping, but I can tell you that there are certain things that I'm able to do, and research actually shows that these things are quite effective in helping people to sleep better. So I thought I'd share with you my sleep experience. All right, so one of the things we know, first of all, and especially from the book by Walker, I think his name is Matt, but I can't remember. Walker wrote a book called Why We Sleep. My chiropractor recommended this to me years ago, and I got it, and I have to tell you, it is the Bible, if you will, for what to do to sleep better, and why sleep is so important to your daily life, your daily routine, your longevity of not only your body, but especially your brain. We know that people who don't sleep that well, like chronic sleep deprivation, is, let's say, there's a higher chance of, much higher chance of dementia, Alzheimer's, all kinds of problems, health problems, cognitive decline, and the list goes on and on and on. And these are things that, if we can learn how to sleep better, which many of the people who I work with have learned how to sleep better, then we can maybe elongate the health span within our lifespan, because we're designed to move, but we're human. We need sleep. So first of all, when we look at the benefits of sleep, I know that as I get older, and I hate to say it because I think I'm 30 in my mind all the time, I'm always thinking, I feel like I'm 30 years old. This is just crazy. But I'm not 30 years old. I'm 65, and I feel it. I can feel the differences. Some of them are very slight, and a couple are a little bit more than slight. One of the things I feel at 65 is I need sleep, but I also need more recovery after something very demanding, especially physically demanding, but not only physically demanding. Let's say emotionally and mentally demanding, I still need recovery there. So things are getting different, but I try to stay on top of it by getting sufficient amounts of sleep. Of course, one of the things that will help us sleep better is exercise. Okay? Exercise helps us sleep better. It changes so many different parameters. We put demand. Remember I said last week, if you watched the one about actually, I can't remember the subject. Our body responds and grows when we place demand upon it. For example, your brain, it's going to shrink if you don't use it. You place demand upon it to learn new things, acquire new abilities and skills. Well, then you're going to have a brain that is growing. Our muscles only respond and grow when we place demand upon them. All right, and so do our bones. They're attached to our muscles, so we have to have muscle, or we probably are going to wind up with brittle bones, or less than sufficient bone density. Let's put it that way. All right, so as we age, though, not only do we need all that, we need to stay moving and always place demand upon our brain and our body every day, but we're going to need, especially the harder we do that, the more intense we do that, we're going to need more sleep than when we were younger. So it's just the way it works, folks. I suggest get that book called Why We Sleep. I'll put a link to it in the description here. Click on it. Go check it out. I think you should buy it. It's one of the greatest books you'll ever invest in for your health and your longevity. All right, so what are the best ways to improve your sleep? Well, you need to exercise. That's going to help you. If you don't exercise, you're probably not going to sleep as well. All right, what about eating? Okay, well, they say not to eat 3 hours before sleep. I can say that I can get by with eating right up till the very last minute. And not that I do. Seldom do I do that, but I'm going to sleep no matter what. I don't know if I have some special, chemistry that makes me sleep, but whatever. But for most people, stopping a couple hours, 3 hours is what they say before. That's going to be good. Not drinking anything 2 hours before sleep, so you have less chance of waking up and having to go to the bathroom, which can oftentimes lead to not getting back to sleep as soon as you want to, or maybe at all. And then they talk about blue light, tablets, telephones, 1 hour before sleep. So it's a 3, 2, 1. 3, don't eat 3 hours before sleep. 2, don't drink 2 hours before sleep. Light is 1 hour before sleep. Don't get on your phone and do a bunch of stuff. I can do any of that. If I get up to pee in the night, I'm going to get back to sleep easily. But I take precautions when I do it, because let's talk about this. One of the things that we know is that the sleep-wake cycle is triggered by cortisol production when you get up in the morning. Now, this is assuming you're not working a night shift. If you are, all this is out the window. Don't listen to any of it. Get the book Why We Sleep. That'll tell you how to deal with night shift stuff, overnight shifts, okay? If you're waking up in the morning and go to bed at night, like a lot of people are, most people probably, then this is what I would suggest you follow, because the research shows this works, okay? And I have the people who I teach this to who do it usually do better. It all has to do with light received by the bottom portion of the retina, which has different receptors than the top of your retina. So when you see light from above, especially natural light, but any kind of light from above, when that hits, when you wake up, it's going to likely trigger, it's supposed to trigger the production of cortisol. Okay, we need cortisol or we're dead. If we have too much cortisol, well, we can gain weight, and that's not good for us. But if we regulate it through various means. But we have to have it or we won't get going because we're dead. So cortisol production triggers the sleep-wake cycle. So let's say you get up 6 o'clock in the morning like I did today. I'm going to go right outside. I'm going to be outside, not looking through the window, looking up at the horizon, not at the direct sunlight. And even if there's clouds like here today, I'm still getting direct natural light from above. About 2 minutes of that, go back in, that's it. That's enough direct light from above to hit the bottom receptors of the retina to trigger cortisol production. That's a 14 to 17 hour wake cycle. Okay, so an hour before sunset, which is very late these days. I mean, it's like 9 o'clock or something at July 7th, where we're at right now. Well, same thing, go outside, whoosh, direct light from above. Natural light is better than man-made light, if you will, like light bulbs, overhead lights, things like that. And if you have to go with, inside, then you have to go with inside. But make sure, if you can, get outside, natural light from above, hits the receptors at the bottom, and it triggers the melatonin production, which is going to help to get you sleep. Now, the last caveat here is this, all right, of this portion is, if you do get up in the night, be safe, but try not to put on overhead lights. Maybe have night lights going through at the bottom by the floor, because if you put on the bathroom light or the hallway light and you trigger from above, it's a probability you're going to trigger maybe 2, 3 in the morning. Cortisol production, bingo. Your brain says it's time to get up, but you know it's not. But your brain doesn't know anything because it's just doing what it's designed to do naturally, and that is to make cortisol, make you be awake, and you can get back to sleep. All right, so those are some key tips, and Stanford has studied it, Andrew Huberman talks about it, Walker talks about it, and it works. Okay, this is the way it works. Now, the last thing I'll say is, if you're sensitive to caffeine, you got to figure out at what point to stop drinking caffeine during the day, because that can keep people awake. Sometimes even if they have one at 12 noon or 1 o'clock, they're awake all night. Me, I can drink it right up till 8:30 at night, have some espresso, and I'm asleep 2 hours later like a rock. So I don't know. I'm different, I guess. ADHD is real. Maybe my brain uses it to relax. Who knows? Like, I just don't know. But anyways, that's it. So those are my words of wisdom on getting sufficient sleep. And that 7-hour, 8-hour mark is really good. I usually get about 7 per night, sometimes 8, sometimes 6, but I always feel best is 7 to 8. Our bodies need it, folks. I slept so long the past 2 nights, and I feel full of energy today. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, the energy I have. And my pain is, I don't have any pain now. I tend to have more inflammation and, I think anyways, and other problems with pain when I don't sleep sufficient, All right, have a great day, and I'll be back at it tomorrow. Please hit subscribe. Really appreciate all the subscribing. Share, please. We want to hit the world with more views, more helpful advice. Drop your comments in the box. Have a great day.